Hey everyone, welcome back. We're the Gambling Guys. Welcome back to the Cub Content Studio on the Pull Tab Sports Network. We are happy to be here. We're excited to talk to you in episode number 3. So today we got a pretty quick one, but we've got some really interesting things to talk about. This is a post-Super Bowl podcast, David, post-Super Bowl.
And who are you?
My name used to be, well, it was W2 Pete to begin with.
And then?
Then it was Parlay Pete.
And now we are?
Now that I've seen some personas online and realized that I'm literally like stealing names from people, it's unfortunately, and you'll hear about this later, Prop Bet Pete.
I think it's super fitting that you're Prop Bet Pete. It just happens to work out, right? Like that. Want to thank everybody for listening. It's been great to see some of the views on YouTube and on Spotify. And thanks for bearing with us as we get our brand straight and our name straight. I am still David Casino.
He is still David Casino, and he's still here. He hasn't run off yet or run me off. So we're here to talk to you a little bit. On the agenda today, of course, agenda sounds like we're in a meeting. But what we want to talk about today is obviously first and foremost that Super Bowl and how it turned from something that I felt was really boring and depressing, quite frankly, with my bets, to exciting and down to the end, and I was on the couch yelling at the TV. How about you?
Yeah, same way. So I'm going to get into first time of doing some prop bets, and we'll get into that. I was pretty darn excited. I think I might be hooked on it.
Yeah.
And I was actually more pleased about the game at the end, just getting it to be a game. What was it? Only the second one or something, or a long time since it's gone into overtime. So it's always great to see that.
Second one in recent history that I can think
Yeah.
of. I think it might have even been the second one all time that went into overtime, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
You happy with the outcome?
Yeah, I am happy with the outcome. I'm happy. I mean, you look at what Vegas does with odds making, and it's a wonderment to me because you look at the spread and the over-under, and how close were they on that thing?
Well, I think we talked about it prior to this, right? I think it started at 47.5, the under-over. And then if you were betting at some books right at the beginning, it was 46.5. And 47 was the number.
47.
Wonderment. That's a good word. They are so good at it. I'm sure obviously they got machines bigger than you and I in there that are running all the algorithm, but super close.
Well, and you and I are in this business now. We're in that IT business where, you know, the newest thing is these large language models and AI, and I'm sure there's a lot of that artificial intelligence as well as you said, algorithms going into it. But it amazes me at how close they can get. They were anywhere from the time we bet, and I think on our podcast we had bet roughly 47.5 as over under, as you said. And by game time, it was 46.5, and it ended up at 47. Right?
Yeah, so we picked the winners, but we didn't cover the over.
We did not cover. That is
you had that, the first and second part of the second quarter, which is kind of a lull, right? A couple of fumbles and the change. But okay, so are you ready to get into your prop bets and prop bet Pete? Or maybe I want to say I got a text from Pete as they were flipping the coin, and he said heads or tails for 20.
Yeah, that's correct.
So I won the first $20.
You did win the first $20. I did want to step back for 1 second, though, because on this cast, we're introducing a new segment, a guest segment.
Love it.
Where we have a new guest, and we'll introduce him as the time comes. And we'll be asking him some questions as well. We got this little thing called 5-question wager. So he has not been prepped on this, our guest, so this is going to be fun to see his reaction. And, of course, David and I always have a little money.
And why don't we introduce the guy? Because he's right behind the black velour here, and he's making this whole thing really possible.
Without any further ado, maybe?
Do it.
All right. So, guys, this is one of the people that's very important to both David and I, and a gentleman who is only appropriate that we bring him on as our first guest because he's our producer. He's one of the creative folks here on our show. He helps us with our content. He does all the wonderful things like make sure you can hear us and see us. So I'd like to introduce to you Sal. Sal, are you out there?
Hey, boys. I'm here. Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me.
And one of the reasons why we wanted to have Sal on, obviously, is because he means so much to David and I for the show, but also because after I think it was the last podcast, and even the first one as well, We literally sat around for an hour and just talked gambling. We talked Vegas. We talked gambling. The first thing we say when we see Sal is, who do you like at Augusta and the Masters? What'd you think of the Super Bowl? And Sal, you've got a few stories to tell, and we're looking forward to hearing them over time. You're going to be with us a long time, so it's only appropriate that you're our first guest because you're going to be the longest sitting guest on this show. Hopefully we last more than 3 episodes, David.
And he's going to do a little homework because what we're going to talk about is not only those 5 questions that you mentioned there, Prop Bet Pete, but also Masters Futures, who we're liking already because it's, less than a few months away.
I like that you want to get into the Masters already. You said that in our pre-production meeting, and I was like, isn't it a little early? But it's really not. It's really not. It's never too early to bet, quite frankly.
If you think about it, it's 2 months away, less than 2 months away. It's probably 60 days away.
Yeah.
And it feels like we're doing this from Stillwater, Minnesota, and we have had no winter. So it feels like spring. So it's only fitting that we're thinking about a tradition unlike any other.
And like any other. You couldn't have spoken it better than Jim Nantz does. I can't even get the shit out. The one thing I will note, and this is our discussion that you and I have talked about quite frequently, is you are looking mighty dapper in, I believe it's one of our sponsor sweatshirts, but I'm going to let you talk about it because it's sweet color. I don't know what color you call that. Is that a mauve? Is it a red? Is it a purple? But you're looking pretty sweet in that.
This thing, it fits great. It feels super great. We talked last time about Chill Boys hoodie. We talked last time about the underwear that they have, the boxers, the briefs. This came in. I absolutely love it. So thanks for the call out. I think we still got that Chill Boys 15% discount.
We do.
At chillboys.com for our listeners.
I did say last week when we talked about their underwear.
Well, you said you weren't wearing any.
Well,
for the record. So I don't know. What are you going to say this time?
I am wearing underwear today, and they happen to be Chill Boys.
They are?
Yes.
Which one did you do? The bamboo, the boxer briefs, or the briefs?
I went with the boxer brief, and thank you, Chill Boys, for calling me out and sending me a pair of the boxer briefs. And
I thank you, too, for allowing him to wear underwear.
These things are mighty comfortable. And, I'd show them to you, but
no, let's not do that.
This is a G rated.
Let's not
do PG
that. We love you, Chill Boys. Thank you. The hoodie's awesome. The underwear, I'll take Pete's word for it that they're great. I'm going to try some as well. Okay,
so let's
do the prop bets. So your prop bets for the Super Bowl, because let's just set the stage. If you're listening for the first time, we're glad that you're here. If you're listening for the third time, you'll know that Prop Bet Pete was 0 for 20 on his prop bets, and he's pulling up his sleeper app right now, and I will pull up mine. How many did you make for the Super Bowl?
On the Super Bowl, I made 3 separate prop bets. Okay,
we'd love to hear them.
You would? Okay. So let me preface this with the fact that I'm in a very dark place right now, and those of you who are gamblers understand that when you are literally like, it feels like you're the cooler for the group. If you've never seen that movie, William H. Macy, Cooler, great kind of not prop bet, but great gambling movie, right? Go watch The Cooler. I am the cooler at this point, and I will tell you what I've bet, and you will be astonished by my losses. So, Super Bowl bets, I bet prop bets on Sleeper like I always do. My first parlay was, here it is. Oh, boy. $10 bet.
Okay, good. You're not betting the mortgage, so $10.
6-way.
Oh, good.
6-way, Sal.
Let me guess. You lost?
6-way.
You lost?
Weird. I'm 0 for 21.
How many did you hit on this one?
So I had Christian McCaffrey on the under for rushing yards. I took that one.
You got that.
I had Marquez Valdez-Scantling for over 18.5 receiving yards. I hit on that one. That's a green arrow. I had Mahomes for over 27.5 rushing yards. That's a winner.
Yep.
I hit Brandon Ayuk for an anytime TD on the under. So it was a half a touchdown. I took the under on Ayuk. That's 4 in a row. And now things get a little ugly.
But did you?
So this is
I was
all one parlay.
Going to ask if you learned anything, because if you would have bet 4, that would have probably paid about $250, $300.
Education is lost on me at this point.
Okay.
So,
dark place prop bet Pete.
Old dog, new tricks. Need to learn some new tricks. No
Yep.
question. Otherwise, I'm going broke. Debo Samuel, I had on rushing yards over 16.5. That was a loser. And Rice I had for reception yards of over 67.5. Why I did that, I do not know. But I think a lot of people bet Rice, Kansas City wide receiver as well. So 4 out of 6 I hit, so at least I'm going there. So that's prop bet number 1. Prop bet number 2, I'll go through it real quickly too, because it also was a 6-way parlay. And I hit 3 out of 6 on that one.
Okay, so we're 0 for 22, and you probably didn't hit the last one, and you did a 6-way?
Actually, I did 4. So
Okay.
Turns out I'm all for...
Did you use the same players, or did you just switch it up and you got everybody on the roster?
I did switch it up a tad bit on the second, or on the third one. I went Valdez Scantling for the same bet. Got to that one. Wharton, defensive tackle. I went the under on a sack, which you should never bet sacks. We'll talk about that later. I hit on that one because he did not get a sack. Half was the over under. And I bet Samuel and Brock Purdy for for under 247 yards, and that didn't go well
because it went to overtime, and I'm going to talk about mine in a second that went over.
Okay,
got it. So you went. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no,
you're 0 for 23.
0 for 23.
Did you have fun though?
Yeah. The one thing about this kind of prop betting is it's an absolute blast. And you and I can tell a story later about the Kansas game last night, the basketball game, which I had no business betting Texas Tech or Kansas. And the only reason I did is because the soon-to-be Mrs. David Casino has spent a lot of money on education at Kansas.
Undergrad and law school degree, so I have to say rock chalk every time I see somebody wearing KU, and she got me into it, but that was a really bad showing.
That was not pretty, and you and I commiserated over our depressive bets last night.
What's not depressing?
Okay, here comes the fun stuff.
The time, truth be told, up to prior to these podcasts, never bet on Sleeper or did any prop bets.
Okay.
I made 2 bets.
2.
And I took my own advice, and I had 1 bet, both Mahomes and Purdy on over.
Mahomes?
Just 2 ways.
Okay.
$20.
You can bet 2 ways on Sleeper?
You get these pop-ups that are like, Pete, just keep betting. Your odds will decrease. This is perfect. So I bet $20. Patrick Mahomes and Purdy is over. Luckily went into overtime because Purdy only made it for me by 5.5 yards. Still made $60.80 on that.
$60.80 on a 2-way parlay?
Just a 2-way. Think about it. 20 into 60. So
what the hell is wrong with me?
Okay, well, here's where it gets interesting. And I jumped off the couch on this one. So I had both Purdy and Mahomes for above rushing yards. Purdy was at 11.5, and he had the official was 12. He ran for like 9 and then I think like 4 and then had a 2 back.
And you took the over.
Took the over and he got to 12. So just enough. Patrick Mahomes, when he ran for that 20-some, I jumped off the couch.
Oh, I bet
Dogs
you did.
went like, what, Eric, what are you doing?
And that was literally in the last minute or so of the Super Bowl.
Well, there might have been that time because he got 66 yards overall. So there was the time before that just got me above the 27.5. Okay. So I think there was 2 bigger runs.
Okay.
But here's the other thing. I took Christian McCaffrey at under 90.5 rush yards. That $20 turned $103.80.
So you were 2 for 2 on the Super Bowl and made $164
and 60 cents.
I forgot the 60 cents. That's just, rounding error there.
And just, we're trying to educate everybody and prop bet Pete that you don't need to make 6-way bets. So I thought
Yes,
I'd do a shout out for my oldest daughter.
You need to chase.
Lindsay and her boyfriend, Ben.
Okay.
Ben made 3 bets.
Ben made 3 bets, so you got them from him. Okay.
Yep. All 2 ways.
All 2 ways. So he did 3 bets 2 ways. What kind of numbers was he betting?
So he bet 10, 5, and 10.
Okay.
and he won on both $10. And again, it was just a two-way. So one was Christian McCaffrey over a certain amount of pass yards and Patrick Mahomes. He missed on the rush and TDs for Christian McCaffrey. I think he wanted San Francisco to win. I should have checked with you first, Ben. But then he did the exact same thing, the over on Patrick and or Mahomes and Purdy on passing yards. So all I'm saying is you don't have to bet it 6 ways. You don't have to bet it 4. But you know what? We just said it too. It's all about entertainment. For those that are listening or watching, thank you. We love it. We also want you to know we're doing it from an entertainment perspective. Do not bet the mortgage if you're listening to Actually, might be interesting to Sal. What you should do is listen to Prop Bet Pete's bets and just do the opposite. We could have an
So I've mentioned that, but here's what I don't understand, Pete, is how did you not take the top 4 of your 6 and make one $10 bet, and the bottom 4 overlap it, make another $10 bet, and if you hit one or the other, you would have evened out, even made a little money.
I believe they call that hedging, don't they? Because I literally love the art. I'm addicted to the multiple at this point. And so as you add complexity to your bet, as you said, the probability goes way down. But I love watching that multiple go up. So, hey, for $10, I'm at 21 times, right? I'm going to rethink that now. So, Sal, that's a good point. I'm going to be calling you two clowns.
No, we actually love
tonight,
this.
probably, to talk about it.
If you do lose the 5 questions here in a few minutes when we ask the questions,
Yeah.
you might still be in that dark space, and we're going to have to send out a couple of
You might have to send out like
life
a
preservers.
what do they call that? A welfare check.
Yeah, we'll do the wellness check.
We'll do a welfare check tonight. Yeah, because I'm home alone. Mrs. Prop Bet Pete is off out of town for a few weeks.
Hey,
so.
Speaking of, do you want to mention what happened with Kim?
I would, but let's finish up the prop bet thing or the sleeper discussion because we have a mutual friend, Robert.
Yes.
Who listened to our podcast and said, you inspired me. I'm pretty sure we did inspire him. I'm pretty sure he made that bet long before. But he sent us an example of what he bet on Sleeper, and he bet 8 ways on one of his bets. Now, he had several other bets that he hedged, Sal, that he made money on, which I have yet to figure out how to do. But he hit 7 of 8 on that prop bet. And you know the one thing that got him? It's something I said earlier. It was sack.
And TJ lost out on Bosa sack as well.
Yeah.
So if there's anything there we're learning is sacks, like Henry said earlier,
Yes.
It's not a good bet, right?
Sacks are a sucker's bet as far as I'm concerned, and they can ruin your bet. He lost that last way of his 7 of 8 in the first quarter when Chase Young got a sack, and that just blows your bet right there. So they put up these sack bets, and I'm pretty sure that you can, if you're studying well enough, you can probably bet it pretty closely and have some education to it and get there. But they're definitely a risky bet, especially if you parlaying them with multiple things that need to happen, right? A 5-way, 4-way parlay.
So Robert, thanks for sharing. It was awesome to see that text from you, and thanks for listening, and better luck on hitting that 8-way next time.
Exactly.
So guys, brings up a good point. I'd like to ask.
Yeah.
Love it.
What do you think of first half bets, for or against? Because it can ruin your game experience, right? I mean, you're like, now I'm done.
The one thing that first half bets give you is the opportunity to bet second half.
That's exactly. I was gonna say the same, and God bless you, parlay or prop bet Pete, because I was gonna say I'm a complete fan for it, because then you can
I'm an
bet
optimist.
more.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And we're gonna be in Vegas during the Masters. We'll bet on Thursday, and then we'll bet on Friday, and then we'll bet on Saturday.
So I'll tell you the good first half bet story, Sal, is my son is a huge Premier League fan, as a lot of the younger generation are. And he told me, I think it was last year, he was like, I am betting first half Premier League like there's no tomorrow, and I'm crushing it. And I'm like, I know not of what you speak, when he told me that, right? Like I know the Premier League, but I don't know much about it.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's so easy to bet first half Premier League because I always know when teams are going to play conservative, and I know their setups. And
Really?
And I know how to bet them. And I think as he and I got into the football season and we're both Packer fans, he kind of waylaid on that a little bit and got off of it. But I think he was doing very well in first half bets on the Premier League. And he actually said, it's great because, and I took that from him, it's great because if I lose on the first half, I can chase on the second. So there you go. What do you think, Sal? What do you think is first half bets?
Well, I just don't like. I mean, it's a 50-50 thing, right? Because you can ruin your game experience for the afternoon.
Yep.
Or like you said,
You're chasing.
You can chase it on the second half if you want to.
Yeah, but chasing's dangerous, right? When you're 0 for 23 on sleeper.
That's true.
The thing that I wasn't expecting, having been one of the first times I bet on that KU game before the Super Bowl and then the Super Bowl, it actually was way more enjoyable to insert right into what you guys are saying right now for me to watch games inside of a game. And I honestly never thought I'd say that because I was an old school bet on the game, bet on the outcome like Vegas, right? The under over the spread.
Yeah, when we first started talking about sports betting, you and I, as we were planning the podcast, just in general, you said the sports betting piece I'm not really into that much. I'm kind of more into the casino, but I'll definitely get into it. And then once you found sleeper, I think I found a guy who really likes it just as much as I do. I mean, I just love watching a game and cheering for someone, right? Take, for example, Kansas last night, right? David and I both bet on Kansas because of the connection there. And David got me into the game, and it was on ESPN. And I bet what I thought was a lead pipe lock, right? Because it's Kansas. And what did I text you during the game when things were not going well? What effect was it?
What did you say?
It was the Pete Venuta cooler effect.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like I am frozen right now. As
you
far
got to
as
snap
betting.
out of that though. We were at the casino on Saturday, and
We were.
Yeah. It wasn't until about halfway in that I think Pete woke up or something happened. You took your jacket off, put your glasses on.
Yeah.
But you still missed keeping that full house. We're gonna have to.
Yeah, you were a little disappointed in me. David and I love our casino visits together, and half of the fun is just being able to spend time with each other, talking about sports gambling and casinos in general on the way up and back. But we went up and played some video poker this weekend, and I was just in the wrong frame of mind. I think I was kicking myself for my sports bets. I think I was distracted, and you saw it. It was an ADHD type thing. And it happens. But I could tell you were frustrated because you were like, listen, this is not the Pete that I usually gamble with. We need to do something different.
Well, you stand on the first tee or seventh tee and you're in a dark place. Guess what you're going to do? Quack, quack. You're going to duck that thing OB, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a bit of positivity you need to bring to the table. I think you should bring it up. Do you think Kim's win, if you want to tell the listeners, could change it, could snap you out of that dark place? I mean, you got to live through your lovely bride on this one. What do you think?
Yeah, so interesting story here because my wife is not normally a board better or a square better like we are even. As we talked about squares, and Sal shared with us some numbers that he had. He had a numbers board going as well. I don't think you won anything, did you, Sal? Did you win anything on the Super Bowl?
No, nothing. I'm probably since playoffs. I'm probably 300-400 down.
Oof, yeah. That's always hard because then you feel like you need to make it back. But my wife was in Steamboat, Colorado, and with a friend, and she went to a bar where they had a minimum purchase amount where she to watch the Super Bowl, and they had a numbers board there. They had several numbers boards. And by the time she stood in line, her and her friend were like, hey, let's get in on this action. Let's get on the $10 board. They got up to the front and they said, we're all sold out on the $10, the $20. All we have left is a $50 board. $50 per square, right? 100 squares like we talked about last podcast. And if you want in on it, it's $50 a square. Well, she looked at her friend and she said, well, I've got $100. I got a $100 bill. Let's just give it a shot, throw it down.
They bought two.
They bought 2 squares.
Pooled between the two? Because we talked about this before.
They did pool.
Nice.
Because they opened up another board later and her friend put some money in. So they said, well, let's just do this together.
Love it.
So they sat and they had dinner and they had a few drinks and they enjoyed their time and they watched the Super Bowl. And It gets to the end of the Super Bowl, and they look at each other right before overtime, and her friend's like, I think you have a 5 in your number. And my wife's like, I guess they didn't hand them the numbers, and of course they didn't really look that
So
hard.
they went up and they just wrote their name down and saw that it was 5 and
5, and I think it ended 5-3 or 5-2.
Yep.
I forget what it was, 5-2, I think. And sure enough, Mahomes runs that one in, ends up 5-2. She wins the final on the $50 board.
So we did this last time. I think we went 10%, 20, 10%, or 10, 30, 10. What was it? 50%?
Hers was 50%.
So $2,500.
$2,500.
Hey, that should snap you out, prop bet Pete.
So
Get
I
out
am
of the cycle. Get out of the circle in the drain.
I am sitting there just licking my wounds, right? It's 10 o'clock at night. The Super Bowl's over. I'm like, what can I watch on Netflix? Because I am getting my absolute ass kicked over the last 3 weeks. And the phone rings, and it's a FaceTime call. And it's Mrs. Prop Bet Beat, who apparently bets better than I do. And she's like, I just won $2,500. And I'm like, what?
Love it. Do you think, well, maybe I'll save that. I was going to say, do you think any of that's coming back? They're going to have a good time. They split it. They're going to have a good time out there before they come back. That's awesome.
I think you and I might see that money, a little bit of that money, go into a slot machine in Vegas when we're out there in April.
love it.
So
I love it.
I'm going to stop real quick because we didn't talk about this, the snacks at the Super Bowl. Because, quite frankly, I love snacks, and I love the snacks of the Super Bowl. And I literally this year was by myself because I didn't really have a party to go to, and I wanted to kind of concentrate on my betting. So I had a couple screens going, the whole thing. We all see how that went, right?
Maybe you just need one, because maybe the 3 screens you had going, actually each one was 2 prop bets, and you thought, I'll do 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and you got 6 ways. Right. So maybe you should just stick to one screen. But we're getting away from, because we had the same thing. I'm guessing you had some Jimmy's dip with you.
Well, here's what I did is because I've been kind of cutting down on my carbs, I made myself some sirloin tips at halftime, right?
You made a bunch of sirloin tips. I saw the pic.
May have been about a pound worth. Yeah. And so season them up, marinate them. They were fantastic. And I realized it's Super Bowl. It's kind of a cheat day. And I look over, and in the corner, there's these little Jimmy's caramel dip things. And I had a few there sitting there, and they're calling to me, come get me, come get me. So I grabbed some ginger wafers that we picked up from Trader Joe's or something, and I pulled out the caramel dip.
How good?
Well, I ate, I think, maybe three little tins of that stuff.
So you'll grab 3 more on the way out. It's
Yeah,
great that
there's
you say
some
that.
right here,
We were
because-
having some vegetables. It was just Eric and I at the lake and watching the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And she brought up the Jimmy's dip. So we just sat there with a little celery and some carrots. It was great.
It was ranch dip. You went with the ranch
We
dip?
just went with the ranch.
So we are fans, and we thank them for their sponsorship, but we're also consumers. And
Got it.
Their caramel dip is crazy good, and I'm sure you'll attest to the.
I'm grabbing some on the way out tonight.
Did you go smoky ranch, or you just went regular ranch?
I think it was just the regular ranch.
Okay. They've got that I think it's smoky ranch, the one that I mentioned last time. That's really good with vegetables. So thank you, Jimmy's, and we appreciate your sponsorship, and we certainly are fans of your product.
So just to recap on the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
you still have, and other prop bets. For
Yes.
Prop Bet Pete, still hasn't won one.
Still
0
have-
for 23.
I'm 0 for 24 with the Kansas game last
Oh,
night.
there we go. Okay, so
Probably 0 for 25.
okay, if you
the
count
other
mine, I'm
stupid
3
bet.
for 4 because of the KU game last night.
So you're running 75%.
But I was running 3 for 3 until last night.
Right.
But I think we should switch gears.
The Cooler Pete effect.
Bring in our guest and try up these 5 questions. And why don't you talk about those 5 questions
Yeah.
and
So
how we bet on them?
Right.
And then we'll get into the Masters future.
I like your transition there. So Sal and for everybody out there listening, we've got an interesting little concept here because as a guest of the show, we've got 5 questions for you. And unbeknownst to you or beknownst to you now, David and I bet on your answers. on every single one of these questions. So we have a C note on every single question.
No,
between
you
us.
don't.
And do make sure you get it right.
So 2 things here. 1, be as specific as you can in your answers, okay, and make sure you answer in my direction. And 2, take about, I know we don't like dead air here at Pull Tab Sports, but take about 3 seconds so anybody out there listening can bet on your answer as well.
As opposed to when you took about 4 minutes on the average daily rate for the the second episode.
Oh, you mean what I was delaying? So
You
that
were
I could-
delaying and Googling.
I was not Googling.
So Sal won't be able to Google this because this is personal questions.
So-
and not too personal though, right?
No, we're not
Yeah.
going to get too personal.
I like
It's not today.
Let's do it. Here we
Are
go.
you ready, Sal?
I'm ready.
All right. So, Sal, question number 1. When you decide to have yourself a beverage, do you prefer wine, beer, seltzer as one category? So there's 2: wine, beer, seltzer, spirits, or other.
Oh, that's kind of a tricky question. I mean, the go-to right away,
Yep.
beer seltzer.
Damn it.
Bingo.
Damn it.
I knew I loved you.
David's plus 100. All right. So, question number 2, Sal. When you decide to pull up to any casino, pretty soon there'll be a casino of our favorite choosing because I'm sure we'll get some sponsorship here. But when you pull up to a casino and you walk in the front door, what is your favorite game to play? Now, you have many options here. You got sportsbook, you got blackjack, you got poker, you got slot machines, you've got video poker. What is your preferred wager game in a casino format?
You're both going to lose.
Okay.
Pai Gow.
Oh, you are right.
That was
No way. You got it, Pete?
No, you're right.
We both lost.
Oh, okay.
But hang on a second. We have to have another episode soon for you to discuss this because
Yeah, 'cause I wanna
don't
learn
even know
about
how
Pai
to
Gow, don't
play.
you?
Well,
Yeah.
I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Can we have like on one of these episodes a Pai Gow 101, Sal? Is that okay?
Yeah, we could. Yeah, I got a perfect guest we can bring in for Pai Gow 101. Pai Gow's so easy because you can spend little very money and have a lot of fun. And if you're unsure, the dealer tells you.
Huh.
That's what I need.
Okay. Well, you know what? I love this. This is unscripted, and we just got ourselves another episode.
Right.
I'm going to be educated on that one.
Well, we all will. And for the record, Sal, David bet you on a sportsbook guy, and I had you on blackjack. So
Oh, okay.
So we'll just cross that one out. Question number 3.
question number 3, which is related to question number 2, but a little bit different, but still in the game. Weird. It's still part of the gambling subject. What age can you recall that you gambled your first dollar? What age were you?
18.
I took the under on 10. I thought you were gambling at 7, dude. Like, come on.
So on that one, I picked, for the record, I picked an age, and then Pete
Well, so
had
do
to
you
go
mean,
under
do
or
you
over.
mean like in a
Nope.
legally?
No. What
No.
we win is I am up 2 C notes with 2 questions to go. There's no other questioning needed.
Your answers
We're
are
good.
final.
They are final, and
First-
we're moving on to
first and
question
final,
number
right?
4.
I'm not even going to argue that. They got to be first and final, and you said 18, so
Okay.
that sucks.
All right.
All right. So I'm down 200 so far, Sal, and I've got 2 chances left. So your favorite meal as a protein selection. So is it beef? Is it chicken? Is it fish? Is it, well, you could seafood, I guess we'd call it, right? So you kind of got 3 choices there. What would you choose as your favorite meal, protein-wise?
Obviously, it's steak. Steak's the number one.
Yes, you're my yes.
So truth be told, we rotated through. I got to select first on 1, 3, and 5, and so Pete kind of nailed the steak one there. So all right, so I'm only up $100.
You're up 100, and
with
we're
the
in,
last one, and
we're into the final. I think
as you as you can see, we switched. Sorry, bud. As you can see, we switched away from the gambling, but we're still gambling on the question. So this last question isn't related to gambling, but it gives a little lens into who you are.
Well, they all do. Sal's the greatest. All right, here we go. So, when you travel, what is your preferred destination of travel? Is it domestic, 50 states, including Hawaii and Alaska? Or is it international travel? What is your preferred destination of travel? 2 choices, domestic or international.
It is domestic.
Shit.
I will
Why?
split my $200 winnings with you.
I know your heritage,
With-
Sal. Come on, dude.
No, I like small vacations, 4 days in and out, and the less travel, the better. I can go to Arizona, golf for 3 days, fly back on the 4th.
Well, I should have known too. You're a big Vegas guy too, right?
Yeah,
You like Vegas like
go
we
to
do. So.
yeah, go anywhere in the desert. I like.
Yeah. I would have, and we should probably talk about this too, is I would have probably said international in the past, but
It's changing a bit.
now
for
it's
you.
changing as I get older. I'm kind of, same as you. I like to be close. I like the amenities of the U.S. as far as travel quality, and it's just nice to be in and out, right?
So, okay, I know you're trying to cover up the fact that you lost 200. So,
Yeah, I'm down
that was a great transition and about like where you love to travel and everything, but you owe me 200. So, Sal, stay on the mic here because what Pete said earlier and we introed you, we want to switch over. Last time, as Pete mentioned, you came over here and we just sat with the cameras and mics off, and it was a great conversation about golf and gambling. So, we want to start the conversation with you and around who are you going to select for the Masters? You probably got the Google up there and know some of them, but would love you to tell the listeners who you're thinking 60 days out for the Masters 2024.
Well, so for me, the quick and easy bet is always Freddie Couples. He's always in the mix for the Masters, regardless of where he is in rankings. So,
He's like a Bernhardt Longer, right? Like those guys always play well at
yeah,
Augusta. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah,
But
so
how did-
it's always Freddie Couples. Is that's a one bet kind of thing.
Okay.
I don't even know if he's eligible this year or not. If his exemption's already up. So
Couples?
I should look.
I think as a winner, you are
Oh
always
yeah,
invited
that's
back.
right. He's a winner. So
Unless
you're
you
correct.
select out. Like, remember the last time
Right.
Craig Stadler played and shot like 108 or something and
Walrus.
said, like, the Walrus said he should probably hang it up.
Yeah.
I've got a walrus story in a future episode. Dude laughed at me.
Well, now you got to tell it before we go any further. Where'd you run into Craig Stadler?
So many years ago, Johnny Miller would have this father-son challenge thing at Thanksgiving Point in Utah. And one of the sponsors was a company that we worked with closely, so we got invited out to it to play. And we got to play in the Pro-Am the day before this father-son challenge. And we got paired up with Craig Stadler on the front and Kevin Stadler on the back.
Are you?
okay?
I've never heard this story.
Oh, it's a great story. So we're playing the front nine, and Craig Stadler's hilarious because we're in Utah, and Johnny Miller, as you know, is Mormon, and there wasn't a lot of alcohol around. And he's telling his caddy, the only thing I want you to do is find beer for me in this place, and this is a godforsaken place, so that's a huge challenge for you. So go find me some beer, right? Like that. He had a lot of jokes.
What year was this?
This was probably 2005.
Okay.
Okay. So he had just won. I don't know if you remember this. We can look up the year. He had just won the Canadian Open, the weekend before. So his son was on the bag, his younger son, Chris. And Chris and Kevin had not made it yet on the tour. He was still kind of hanging around on, I forget what they called that tour back then. Remember when Lehman did that thing? What they call that tour? Do you guys remember? It was before
It was the mini tour, right? And then
yeah.
It was,
Then it was like, something.com tour, whatever, web.com or something tour.
That's a good
Right.
call. Yep.
So we're playing in this scramble in the Pro-Am. And we use the pros drive, obviously, because he's bombing it down the middle. And we get to this par 5 on like the second hole, and he bombs it about 280 down the center. And we all drive up to it in our carts, and he drives up and he's sipping on a Miller Lite or something. I think it was Miller Lite that he really liked. And he's like, who wants to hit first? Let's just go for it because I'm going to hit a 2 iron or a 3-wood or whatever to this green. That's probably 240 to the green at that point, right? Because we're playing from like the whites or something. So I step up with a 3-wood, and I'm gonna paste this thing, right? So I grip that club as hard as I possibly can, and I go into my backswing, which is really ugly. You've seen it, and I try to hammer the thing. I top it so bad that the ball literally pops up in the air right in front of me and lands a foot in front of me. And all I hear from in back of me is, and
The walrus
and I
laughed at
turn
you.
around and I look at Craig Stadler and he looks at me and he goes, "Sorry."
I love the story. And you know what the best part about it is? Actually, you just created a tee for him. Because in the scramble rules, there you go. He created a little tee with your divot.
And we ended up birdieing the hole, but
Well, he birdied the hole, I'm guessing.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Later on, I redeemed myself with a 100-yard, 56-degree wedge that I put to like 2 feet, and he was like, "Really nice shot. It was better than the one on number 2."
Those, I've run into a couple of those. Those are so much fun. Those guys, they just want to go out and have fun.
Oh,
Right? They have to be so on those Thursday through Sunday if they make the cut. And
Yeah.
it's great to be able to play with those guys.
I've got many stories about that trip that we'll get into in future, like the caddy story and how he paid his caddy, who was his son at the time, and Kevin was supposed to be his caddy that weekend, and he took the younger son, and the younger son ended up making 10% of his winnings.
That's great.
And when we were talking to Kevin about it on the backside, Kevin was like, "The one damn weekend when I decide not to caddy for him, and the old man hasn't made anything all freaking year, and the one time he wins, my brother's on the bag, so my
That's
brother
great.
made 50 grand." Right?
That's great. I love it.
So, yeah.
All right, so you got Freddie Couples
Freddie Couples.
as the traditional, just love the Augusta National Golf Club.
Right.
But who do you honestly think is going to win?
Okay, so well, I'm gonna pick a sleeper, and just in the time that Pete was telling his story, Charles Schwartzer went from plus 25,000 to plus 30,000.
What?
So I always like to take
Yeah.
a sleeper, right? Somebody that might just come out of it.
That's a good bet.
But the guy I really like, and it's he plays well in majors. Sepp Straka. Sepp Straka played great in the Ryder Cup, plays great in majors. He's going to come out, I believe he's at like 10,001.
Wow, you picked a lot of sleepers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so the last few, when is the last time one of the top 10 guys won the major?
I was so real quick. I just did it this afternoon before we were coming up, and there's usually 3 or 4 guys that are in like the 750, 800, 900 to 1, right? Or not to 1, but
Yeah.
you bet $100, you win 8 or 900.
Right.
Right now, I got and check me on this one, but Rahm, Scheffler, and McIlroy. And then there's another group of like 6 guys. So you got Justin Thomas, Victor Hovland, Brooks Koepka, Patrick Cantley, and then Cameron Smith that are like at the 1,200 to 14. So good point. Like I wonder if any of those 10 guys, when's the last time those top guys have won?
Who won last year again? Do we remember?
Scheffler, right?
Scheffler.
Scheffler won it last year.
So here's the thing that I just wanted to throw out
that was
there.
a top 10 guy last
I've
year.
always been a
Top one.
Rory fan, and if he can make the Grand Slam, right? I mean, it's not in the traditional sense of the Ben Hogan era of all within the same, or Bobby Jones. Can't remember. Ben Hogan, Bobby Jones. Probably should have our shit together, right? But he would have all 4 majors. So Rory's just missing the Masters, right?
I believe so. I think Rory, for me, I was going to talk about this. I'm glad you brought it up. Rory, for me, is an emotional bet because I want him to win. I'm
too.
willing him to win
Yep.
the Masters.
So last year was John Rahm.
Oh, and
And
Scheffler was
Scheffler
before.
the year before.
Thank you for the fact checking there.
And the 2021,
Yeah.
That was Hideki.
Hideki. He came
Hideki.
from nowhere.
Yeah.
Well,
I
yeah.
wonder what his odds were.
Yeah.
He probably was 20.
2018,
Yeah.
Patrick Reed came from nowhere.
Angry Patrick Reed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a fan either, but the guy's a competitor. You got
Yeah.
to give him that.
Well, yeah.
Right? I mean, look at him in the Ryder Cup.
So I think I'm going to take one of those top guys, but on Thursday when we're there to bet. What are you thinking?
I definitely will take some top guys, and I usually go with like a Xander, a Schauffele, Scheffler. You always got to stick a little money on Scheffler. You and I pooled. I don't know if you remember this, but we pooled with Zalatoris. Is he playing still? Is he doing okay? I think he was on a rehab last year. Wasn't he rehab assignment? He came back end of last year, maybe. You and I tend to want to take same as Sal, just a little different because I don't think there's any way in hell Fred Couples would ever win the Masters. But I like your thoughts, Sal, because it's kind of an emotional pick as well.
Yeah.
I think we pool our money again and go for a few long shots as well. Sal brings up a really good point. Pick a couple guys that are down the leaderboard a little bit.
Morikawa, right?
Yeah. Spieth was one that we should talk about.
Morikawa's plus 2,500. He's in the top.
Oh, he's in what, top 10 then?
He's been playing
Probably
some good
top
golf.
12. Yeah.
But still, $100 pays $2,500. That's the
Yeah.
All you got to do is hit on one.
right.
0 for 23. Yeah. So I think that we should let's report back next cast and just kind of do some research on a couple of long shots.
For the Will Zalatoris is playing as a plus 2,800.
Yeah, so he played so good that first year. Remember, he took it to the wire in the last like 6-7 holes.
Yeah.
He was wearing a drink golf shirt, like a white shirt with like little drinks all over him.
Yeah.
It's like, who is this kid?
Well, and he's like a buck 02, right? Like you can blow him over with a right, and over he goes. But I like him. I think he's going to be a force in years to come. I think he's got to put a little meat on the bones, and that's probably one of his training regimens is protein, gain some weight and muscle weight, right? But the guy can hit the ball, so.
I love that the golf season's just around the corner here in Minnesota, and I think we could do quite a few episodes, at least a couple on different golf gambling, not only just gambling on like PGA majors like this in Vegas, but also just gambling
on the course.
Right?
Oh, I got a great game.
Tell us, right? Give us a little teaser right now.
Yeah.
It's called Vegas. Everybody tees off.
Yeah.
The two closest balls together are partners.
Off the tee. And
that may not be the longest ball. It might be the second and third person or the third and first person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because if somebody hits a fade and the next guy hits a fade and they end up 200 yards out, but they're both together, that they're partners.
Yeah.
So then, is it a low ball, high ball?
It is high. It's high, low. Birdies double or birdies flip it.
Oh,
love it. And then you just stay on that hole, and then the two closest balls on the next hole, partners.
Yep, your partner can change every game.
Yeah, so
or
then
every
you're
hole.
running total on individual and a pay at the end.
and the differential is the point spread, right?
The point spread, yeah.
That's where the numbers get. Like if I have Dave and I have a 34, and you and your partner have a 54, it's going to be
2 or 1.
Well, it would be 45, but because is it a par 4? Your birdie 34.
Yep.
Flips it to 54.
Oh,
so the difference from 34 to 54, and you can press anytime you want.
If you're a buck a point, that's a $21 hole.
Yeah.
Is that what you're usually playing? Is it buck?
It usually ends up at a buck a point, but we start off at like 50 cents or
got it.
So wow, that can really get into some fun swings.
Oh yeah, there's
swings.
So a story. A few years ago, we were with my buddy in Vegas, and we were playing this game.
Yeah.
And the one guy, we go in to settle up, and it's like, all right, Jason, you owe Chris $3. Billy, you owe Chris $4. Jason or Stevie, you owe Chris $164.
Not a good day.
No, he had a horrible day.
Oh, that kind of makes things a little
Yeah,
tough.
and he's like, what? $4 and $164?
Where was he on like hole 9 or 10? Weren't you giving him?
Well, I think he's the one. I mean, you have to be 10 down to press, right? And he pressed like right away. I mean, he's in Vegas. He goes, I'm here to gamble. Why not gamble?
You know what? Let's do this. This will be fun. I've got some stories. We all have buddies we can bring in here. We had a little press game, a roll, re-roll.
Yeah.
And it came down to the 18th at Windsong.
Okay.
And I just had my buddy come over and I said, you want me to miss this putt, right? He goes, no, you're making the putt. I'm like, you realize it's $700 each way, right?
that
He
these guys would owe you. You're trying to be a nice guy.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, bury the putt.
Go for the throat.
Yep.
Go for the jugular. Do it.
It was the only putt I've ever made.
Yeah, there you go. No, that's interesting. You know, Sal and I have a mutual friend, Stinny, who plays a lot, and he plays at one of these. There's a East Side course that he plays at that he's a member, and they play Vegas. I think that's the game they play, Sal, and they play it every single week.
Yeah.
And they're playing $5 a point. So there's big money.
I think they
that changes
roll.
hands.
They have like a 17.
Oh, that's right. They got the dice.
17-sided dice that they roll, and that determines the value.
Oh, that's what it is.
We
Yeah.
might have to get that die in here and take a look at that thing.
Well, maybe we'll have Stinny.
Let's do
in.
it.
He can chat with us because
Let's
he's
do
a
it.
big golfer as well. Like,
Hey, did you just
all
get
of
a
us.
haircut?
Well, I might have shortened the flow up a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I'm follically challenged, kind of like you. But
Oh, I'm worse than you are.
Yeah.
You look a little high and tight. It looks good. Did you get any of that Duke Cannon stuff?
You know what's interesting? I used the Duke Cannon. What do they call
Pomade?
it? The bar of soap. The bar of
big ass
shampoo.
brick of soap.
Well, you use that, but there's a shampoo bar too. It's like a
There's a
hockey puck.
shampoo bar?
Yes, I used it today.
Are you sure you're using it right?
Well, depends on where. Well, let's not.
Let's
not go there.
Is it the Bush Light?
It's
There it is,
no.
folks.
It was a bar. I have to find it because I snuck it out of here last.
Well, what'd you
time
think
I
about
was
it? They're
here.
another great sponsor of ours. So what'd you think?
I thought it was fantastic. Like I did this thing with the bar. So
For those of you that are only listening on Spotify or in a podcast, he put his hand above his head and made some motions.
and it's got a masculine smell, which is what I want. Right?
I told you last time that midnight. What's this one behind me?
the big bar soap.
Yeah, what's the brand? What's the flavor or whatever?
Flavor. Oh, I have no idea.
Midnight Swim.
Midnight
Midnight
Swim.
Swim.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then there's another I like it too. If you guys
Gunsmoke.
haven't tried it, go to dukecannon.com. They've got just a whole bunch of stuff. We got some stuff up here, some
Sawtooth.
pomade stuff, the big ass brick of soap is fantastic. That thing is it's big, but I love the smell.
I'm a fan of anything that makes me not smell like flowers, honestly, right? And Duke Cannon, that's what they do well. And what they do even better, they support the military.
Love
and
it.
It's huge for you and I. And one of the reasons why I personally will continue to be a purveyor of their products. Does that make sense? Purveyor? That means I sell them. I will be a consumer of their products forever because a portion of all their proceeds go to military programs for their families and for veterans and for the military itself. So, Duke Cannon, thank you for your sponsorship. And most importantly, thank you for your sponsorship of the military. We appreciate that.
Love it. Sal, thanks for coming on. You just make this work for us just so easy, helping us get it out to the viewers that we have. Thank you to all our viewers. You're definitely a big part of this right behind that curtain, and you're going to be on more and more. We love
Sales
it.
always on now. Once he's on, he's
I
on.
love it. I amen. So, hey, should we give a little shout out of what we're doing Friday night?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, let's do a little preview. The preview for the next episode, and we're going to turn this one around quick, is Friday. David and I have taken some time off of our day jobs to spend some time filming at one of the local casinos, and we're gonna have a little bit of recap of that, as well as probably some video that we'll post. We've got some permission from a casino who shall remain nameless at this point, but we will be we'll be introducing that on Friday, and we'll be talking about some concepts in casino gambling, and you'll get to see how we did, which will hopefully be, with my attitude better, a winning session for us.
Well, it's going to be better because we'll make sure it is.
Yeah.
And then we're coming in here, we're having lunch, and like you said, we'll talk about. It's going to be, as Pete said, going to be more around video poker. We only got permission to do that part of it so far until we build it up and to hit the table game. So for those of you that are waiting for that episode, it's going to be mostly on video poker and some slots. We will definitely be doing other. Yo, you like that I said slots.
Slots.
Little huff and puff or
More
something.
huff and puff. Huff and more huff.
Whatever gets you out of your funk or whatever you're in, your tailspin. But we are. This is great. Keep the comments coming, the questions, the texts. We're sitting back here and loving it. And we love that there's a few of you out there that are listening and watching us. But send in the comments because, as we said, we're going to be doing lots of different episodes and would love your feedback.
Well said. And once again, thank you to our sponsors, Duke Cannon, Chill Boys, and Jimmy's Dips and Sauces. And we appreciate the Pull Tab Sports folks for allowing us an opportunity and a medium to
Amen.
put ourselves out there. And you, the listeners, are most important to us. So thank you for the overwhelming support so far. We didn't expect to get 3. We expected 3 views, myself, David, and one of our spouses at that point. And we got a few more than that. So thank you, everyone. And we'll see you on Friday.